That's a strange perspective.
It is. It is one of the most unusual perspectives I've ever seen, and I'm quite sure that a camera expert could reproduce that.
How high is it from the ground to the door?
Oh, you're at 12 foot off the ground.
So that would mean that his head is at 12 feet.
Your 12 foot is right in here.
That's a strange perspective.
It is. It is one of the most unusual perspectives I've ever seen, and I'm quite sure that a camera expert could reproduce that.
How high is it from the ground to the door?
Oh, you're at 12 foot off the ground.
So that would mean that his head is at 12 feet.
Your 12 foot is right in here.
Oh, his head's almost at 12 feet.
Yeah. Yeah, he could reach 12 feet sitting on the rover. It's pretty amazing. Well, like I said, that rover would be about 24 feet long in that photograph.
Yeah, I could understand it if the rover was closer to the camera, but the rover is right next to the LEM. Well, it looks like he's reaching out to touch it.
Yeah, that is part of the perspective. It looks like he's actually touching the back leg at the top. Which is another part of the imaginary perspective out there, because he couldn't possibly do that. I would have to measure to see how far it is between the two legs at the top where the struts go into. The bottom is 32 feet across, so to fit inside the Saturn V rocket, right, I think they had to be under 24 feet in there for it to fit in. But he couldn't possibly be in front and reach back to the back legs, so that's where you're seeing that camera illusion happening. The whole physical size of him, I mean, his legs would have to be about 8 feet long just to sit in there on a rover that's 24 feet across.
If he got out of that rover and stood up, the top of his helmet would be right at that porch, or maybe even a little higher.
He'd be able to reach the retros. They're about 18 feet off the ground.
There is really something strange going on here.
The previous photograph shows that he drove around from the back up to the front of it, and even they're a little odd because he's only driving from the back of the vehicle to the front of it. Because he's only driving from the back of the vehicle to the front of it.
So if the tracks are there, well, that would mean
Right.
that he's driven it there. Well, that would mean
Right.
that he's driven it there.
But here's the thing. Now you take this photograph, right? Now he looks like he's a little tiny guy. And people could say, oh, well, that's just a little tiny model, right? How did they make a model that's really tiny here? You can see that there is a bit of a raised elevation here. But as he comes around, I mean, he's only driving back 50 feet going through these photographs, right? This picture, he looks way bigger.
Okay, one last time. These are small, but the ones out there are far away.
And then you come backwards around. I don't know what kind of a zoom on the camera or anything else creates him to be tiny to up there to be incredibly large, but it's the most unusual pictures I've ever seen as far as perspective goes.